Welcome back to another episode of What the Pell. Today I'm here with a longtime friend, at least to me, Nancy Funk. Maybe she would disagree. Maybe I'm a short time friend.
No.
Nancy, who are you?
Who am I?
If I was to meet you on the street and I was like, meet you coming out of the gym.
A small town girl.
Is this the start of a country song?
Yeah. No, just just somebody that grew up in Winkler and met you 4 years ago.
Is it 4 years now?
5?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we first met. I think first met training, or no, pictures. You were in pictures for the gym way back in the day.
It was just for like your page, right? Your advertising page. And I didn't even know you. I had never met you. And I came to do a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, maybe I should get some personal training from this guy.
Yeah, if you scroll way back on the Field United page, it's also crazy that you thought you should get personal training from me back then. I just think of who kind of like so many years ago and back then compared to now.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you trusted me back then. It's kind of cool.
No, I mean, like, obviously I was nervous too. I'd never done something like that. Never like trained with a coach or something.
What about the pictures? Were you nervous for those too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to a facility I've never been to. Like, Maddie did those pictures, right?
Yep.
Okay, so like that was like in the very beginning when like I kind of found out who Maddie was, so I was like excited to meet her and like.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You didn't give a shit about the gym, eh? You're like, I just want to meet this new photographer. Yeah, made by Maddie. She took
she was
first
very
few...
fresh in the Winkler, Manitoba area.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it all started. I mean, like we started training. It was like awkward at first. I was so uncomfortable because I was like never done something like that, but then it just became so good, and we just naturally became like good friends through training.
Yeah, I think our sense of humor or I don't even know if it's sense of humor is similar. I don't want
sarcasm.
Yeah, sarcasm, because I don't want to group you into my sense of humor. But the sarcasm and just the understanding, like, if I say this, I'm not serious kind of thing, was good. Like a lot of shit talking.
Yeah.
A lot of shit talking. But I think too, also the interest of like long-term improvement was a big thing. Like, especially in your case too, like you really committed to what I was kind of teaching. And you're one of the first few people who really like bought into, okay, I'm going to listen to him in terms of training, which was awesome for me.
It worked. I mean, like everything that I hadn't seen progress with in the gym for the past couple of years, when I started training with you, everything just shifted and like started improving. Like my strength, like you are the #1 witness to how my strength improved from like just training mediocre to like pushing weight that I've never done before.
Yeah. It was, for me, it was unbelievable because I train girls and guys, and you're a unique case of you outperformed both categories quite a bit, like quite often. When you first came here, I think your goal was to the gym. This is like an advertisement for the gym, but I think that's where we have a lot in common.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Your goal was to bench press, and I bring this up quite often, was to bench press 135.
Okay. Speaking of, I texted you last week saying I have some news for you. I hit a new PR.
On bench?
Yesterday.
What'd you hit?
180.
180.
Yeah.
So you went from coming in here, and well, there's a little story to go with your 135 pound PR, which is kind of funny, but to hit 135, and you worked your butt off to hit 135, and now you hit 180 for bench.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's nuts. Oh yeah. So when Nancy we worked really hard to get her to 135. It was the day we were going to test her 1 rep max. We had been building up to this. She did it. I always load the plates, count the weight, loaded it up, and then she really struggled out a rep. She got it, she racked it. We were all pumped, all excited. She had videoed this rep, and then she left, and all of a sudden I got a text message, just a clip of a video. I was like, oh, cool. Like, I guess she just wants me to have this video too. And then followed up by a text message. I think you misloaded the bar. And it ended up being something odd, right? Like, was it 125?
I think it was 125. Yeah.
Because we had worked up with her warm-up
because we were
sets.
just adding plates to it. And then I was like, that's not right. And I recounted it so many times. I'm like, that's not right.
Oh, I felt so bad too. Like I was like, man, I got this hype. Just for people, for reference wise, 135 on a bar. It's a milestone because it's a 45-pound plate. So it's the big plate in the gym. So you get to put on one full plate. Yeah. In this scenario, we weren't putting on one full plate. We were just adding weight to it to get to that weight.
We were just going for the PR.
Yeah, that was yeah. And then so we got you. Did we do it again? Did we try it again like the next week, or did we scale up again?
Remember, that's what I was going to ask you. I don't know how soon we tried that again. But
yeah, because that was devastating. What's your squat max now, and what's your deadlift max? Because those are both very good, if I remember.
Well, the last time we tested PRs was a year ago, right?
Was it a year ago?
Yeah, I think so. Because I came here to do PRs with you.
Yeah, and that feels like that actually feels like 3-4 years ago. Like just so many things.
Because I remember we did it like it's 2023. We did it 2022, like first week of April, and we also did PRs the previous week, first week of April 2021. So I knew it had been exactly a year. So now it's been like a year and a month since I've done PRs. So I went from a bench PR, and I hadn't gone for a PR in a long time. And I hit it
180. Dang. Yeah. So you did all your other PRs here.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, screw that guy. I'm doing it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I also have only been like pushing hard on bench, like, because I haven't been like pushing hard for squats or deads right now. So yeah, I was actually shocked to get 180 up.
That's really good. Yeah. 180. That's awesome. And it was
smooth. I have a video. I'll show you later.
Yeah, I need to see it. Yeah. Are you going to post it?
I might. I'm always like on and off Instagram right now.
Yeah, you should just delete all your other photos and just have your bench PR on there. So whoever listens to this can just go see that.
I will probably post it like eventually. Just because when I want to check my PRs, I go on my Instagram because I know I'll have it there. So then that's a fast way to find it. But yeah, the last PR for squat, I don't even remember what it was. I think I'm trying to think too. 300.
It was 300 or 305. And your deadlift, I think, was it 355?
355, yeah.
Yeah, that's
you
unreal.
Have a good memory.
Lock it in here. I gotta pause this just for a second. Okay. I gotta put a fan, otherwise that camera's gonna overheat.
Okay.
So your deadlift is 355.
Yeah.
And your squat is 305. And your bench is now like 180. Do you remember, like, did you train squat and deadlifts and bench press before coming here?
Squatting and deadlifting, yes. But I don't think I really benched much until I started coming here. Because I was always embarrassed of like my weak bench, and I didn't want to like bench in a public gym with like 2.5 plates on there.
It's so crazy.
So I came here and I'm like, I want to bench heavy. Yeah. So like I want to do it here. And like I was coming here 3 times a week when I started.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many actually so fun. Like at first, almost no girls wanted to bench press. Like when they were training in here, they didn't really care. Like shoulder press, all that stuff. Yeah. And then you had started bench pressing, and it was crazy the amount of people who had seen your bench pressing, either in person at the gym or if you had posted a video. I think you had posted a couple PRs and stuff. Maybe. And then I got girls who would come in here, and I'd always kind of go through what their goals were, stuff like that, and they would reference bench press. Really? And I'd kind of bring up, I'm like, oh, okay, like what makes you want to do bench press? And so they would oftentimes mention your name.
Really?
So you undertaking improving your bench press kind of I guess inspired some other girls, which was cool.
It is.
It's really cool, especially, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but would you say for girls it's really cool to deadlift a lot of weight and to bench press a lot of weight?
it depends what kind of girl you are. For me, it is.
Yeah.
Um, and a few girls that I know in the gym, they feel the same way. Like
Because you're
it's
almost supposed to just squat.
yeah.
Like,
I don't
as a
know.
girl out of the womb, they're like, okay, here's your requirements.
Yeah. Like for
Kitchen,
me, like the
squat,
for me,
listen.
the deadlift is such an empowering lift
Yeah.
because it's your strongest, right? And so it's like you're lifting the most amount of weight, and I just love the feeling of yeah, pushing really hard for that. But yeah, the bench has really like that's a whole different level. Like when you're a girl in the gym with like, you know, dominantly men in there,
Yeah.
and then they see you like lifting heavy weights on bench,
Hmm.
like yeah, it feels good to like, you know, be able to do that.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's sweet. And that's such a good weight. And that's such a, yeah. And you worked dang hard. That's the thing. Like people might see where you're at now and the weights you're moving now, but you worked really hard, and not really hard for 6 months, not really hard for 3 months, not really hard for a year. You worked hard for years.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you started training here, you said like, is it 4 years ago? Was that right? Something like that?
I think so, 2019, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And how long had you been training before you started training here or working out?
I want to say 2017.
2017?
Yeah.
So before
Or
coming here,
2016, 27. I don't know for sure. 2016, I think. Because
yeah.
that was the year I graduated, and I think that's kind of like when I started training.
What started you off training? Like, what was your
It
first?
was actually a coworker. I used to work at Walmart as a cashier, and
Nice.
she was a cashier too, and she was going to the gym, and she's like, "You should come to the gym with me," and I was like, "Meh, I don't know." Um, like I knew of like gym life because of my brother, like being really into the gym, but I never considered it myself. I don't know why. And yeah, then I went there, got a membership, and then I just like became like oddly obsessed with it. And yeah,
Do you
so
remember what it was in particular about it?
no, don't wish I did, but it was like I think back then it was like also like rest days was so like pushed, you know, and I was just like this gym rat, and that was my identity, you know, like
Yeah.
everyone knew me as the girl that went to the gym 24/7 and lived there. And like, I don't know, I guess I thrived in that, but I honestly like I didn't do it for the attention, but I
Hmm.
loved it so much, you know,
Hmm.
that I was always there, and so that's what people knew me as. But
Probably was like a little bit motivating too to have like, or a little bit motivating to have this expectation of like, I'm the gym girl.
yeah.
They expect me to be there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, no days off. But yeah, it's definitely not like that anymore.
Isn't that crazy? I remember training like that. Like, how old would you have been? 18?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember training like that too, and just thinking the harder you work, the
Yeah.
more things are gonna come, and just no actual. I'm guessing. I'm speaking for you, but no actual like knowledge of like
No.
recovery. Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Just get in there and go hard.
Exactly. And like nutrition was so off. Like I
Yeah.
thought like as long as I just ate shit tons of protein and like spinach, like I was gonna get massive, you know, or get strong, or I don't know. But like I needed so many more calories. I was restricting so hard. And yeah, like that's one thing. When you feed yourself, that's when you're gonna see the most progress.
Yeah, that it is crazy. It's crazy, and it's crazy to see like your body change as you feed yourself based on the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
Although when you're young, like 18, guys especially, you can see a lot of change and have like the worst nutrition.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
you can
Yeah.
kind of get away with like training like shit and eating like shit and be okay.
Yeah. But like when I started, I was skinny.
How can I ask how much you would weigh like when you were like 18?
I wish I knew. If I had to guess, I would say like one I've always been heavier, so I want to say 170.
Yeah, because it's not like you're 5'5".
No.
Like 170 for you is a lot different than 170 for someone who's
I'm
5'5".
5'11".
Yeah, we're like the same height.
Yeah.
I'm 6 feet, but you round down.
Yeah.
I'm technically on the internet. I'm probably
like
6'1".
5'10" and 3/4 maybe.
Oh jeez.
But like who's gonna say that? So like 5'11".
Yeah.
And yeah, like I want to guess around 165, 170, depends. Like I was not checking my weight really. So I don't remember, but
yeah, and then okay, what as you were getting stronger and stuff like that, you started feeding yourself. What's the heaviest you got up to in that training?
I've been over 200.
I think I remember we were 205 at the same time.
Oh, that's insane. I know. And I was feeling good.
Yeah, I remember your training was really good. Can I ask what you weigh now, like typically?
Weighed myself not too long ago. I'm like around 190, 192.
Does that feel like your sweet spot, that 190-ish?
Yeah.
Like you're not super lean. Maybe you are.
No.
You're not super lean, but you also don't feel like you're heavy kind of thing. Yeah.
But the weird thing is at 205, I don't remember exactly. I have a bad memory, but 2 something, I was like feeling good. I was like wearing crop tops. I was like feeling so comfortable in the gym.
That's awesome.
And now I'm like looking back, I'm like, wow, good for her. I couldn't do that now.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like to me too, when you were 205, it definitely, and I mean, it's always great when a guy comments on a girl's weight, but in context of training, it was never like a concern of your body weight.
No.
You always had, like, you were always in decent shape.
Yeah.
And your strength, we were training for strength a lot of the time. Yeah. So it made sense to be that weight. Now, if you all of a sudden were getting a little bit out of control in terms of we were starting to see negative effects on certain parts of your training, then I probably, you'd say something, but there really wasn't. And two, like I would say from my perspective, you were confident at that time too, which is awesome because it allowed you to build so much strength.
I know.
Such a foundation. Like you took that time, you built that strength, you added that weight, and you also added weight to your lifts, which I think you still get a benefit from. Yeah.
And it's like a bulk over a long period of time is so much more beneficial than like a short-term bulk, And I feel like, I was bulking for many, many years.
Which is great.
And then I was just like so used to that weight, and also just like I was so empowered by like my strength always going up, and that was so motivating. And so like I never like considered my body weight to like, be bad or like heavy or anything. But
that's really cool.
Crazy.
Do you looking back on that time, are those good memories, like in terms of like the body weight stuff like that, or do you look back and you're like, oh, what the heck?
No,
they're good.
Yeah. And like most of those memories are from here, because I was like here all the time, and like we had such good workouts, and it was just like made so many good memories here. So I wouldn't change that at all.
Good. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Good. This is like a commercial for the gym.
I mean, that's like our life, right? I mean, like we obviously have other stuff, but the gym is like what brought us together and stuff. So that's a big part.
Yeah, it's always kind of from the gym side of things, and then the sarcasm and stuff like that. And I think too, like I always valued quite a bit because you were sarcastic in a similar way. I always felt like you were pretty honest with me in all, like in a bunch of different aspects, which I always respected too. So it was like one of those things. I'm like, hey, I enjoy training side of things because she's committed, she follows the plan. But also if all of a sudden something's off here, or there's a perspective this way, or I say something this way, she's going to tell me the way she feels. Even if it's just a bad day for her, she's probably going to come in here and tell me the way she feels anyways, which was always good because it was always something to work with from the from my side as a trainer, is always like, hey, I know exactly more or less what's going on, so we can navigate different directions.
But I was so sassy back then.
Some days, yeah.
I mean, I still am sometimes, but like, man, thinking back, sometimes I'm like, man, I had attitude.
With that being said,
but like it always turned around in a good way. I feel like even if I was like in a mood coming here, like it was always like a good session, and like I left way happier, and I'm like, that's what working out does to you.
Yeah, and I think you were always good at taking it too. Like you were always good at, like, if you were in a mood and I could tell you were in a mood and you knew you were in a mood, it was like you could say it and you could make, or I could say it and I could make jokes and you're like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It's never like you were. It was
no, that's the thing. Like we
respectful.
Yeah, like we had a friendship beyond like the coach and trainee relationship, right? So then it was like, yeah,
it was
like more honest and straightforward. Like,
yeah, it was just, this is how it is, which was really good. Looking back at like kind of the way you started and the way you progressed, would you give advice, or what advice would you give to yourself back then? Like, you looking back.
Oh man, I feel like you can really go in depth, but for starters, just eating more food, but also just like eating more whole food and not doing the whole egg whites only and low fat everything and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've incorporated so much fat into my diet lately, and I've seen like such good results from doing that. And like even back, like this is like prior to like when I was training with you, even like I was like packing spinach and chicken for work.
That's it?
Yeah. And thinking back, I'm like, what was I doing, you know? And I was like plain Greek yogurt, 0% with like some fruit on top. And like I was doing like everything I could to have like the highest protein meals with like the lowest carb and fat. That was like in the very beginning. And I'm like thinking back, I'm like, that's like ridiculous, you know? Obviously that transitioned with like a couple of years, and like when I was training with you, I was eating way better already, and like now I'm eating even better. But yeah, like incorporating way more food into your diet, and like eating for your workouts, right? Because like you're putting your body under so much stress, and then you're giving it nothing, like so little that like that's not how you're gonna see any progress. Yeah,
it's like your foot is on the pedal all the way to the floor, but your gas tank has no fuel in it.
Yeah,
it's like you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to sit there.
So that's one thing, like nutrition, just paying more attention to nutrition and knowing like what's gonna benefit you and what not. And then what was the other thing?
What about from the not necessarily from nutrition or training?
Oh, I remember. I'm gonna interrupt you.
Yeah, do it.
Not following like a specific like program, just like coming into the gym, like what am I training today, and then just like picking like random things that you want to do instead of like, you know, I'm doing these 5 exercises on this day, and like I'm gonna do this same exercises next week and push harder and like lift more weight, and not just like, oh, last week I did this, but this week I'm gonna do something completely different. And that's like, it's hard to keep track of like your progress, or even like to push heavier because you're not like doing like the same thing consistently, you know?
Yeah, there's no way to track something if you do it once a week, or once a month, or once every 3 months, or even 2 or 3 times every 3 months.
That's why like even like online training with you, you know, like you scheduled my exercises and they were like the same the following week, but we're pushing for either more reps or more weight or something, you know, something to make it a little bit more strenuous than the previous week to like know that you're progressively overloading.
Yeah.
So that was like another thing that I did not do when I started training.
Yeah, just getting a bit more specific with
Yeah.
exactly what you're doing or trying to get to. Yeah, I think a lot of people could use that. I'm trying to think of different scenarios just from a guy's perspective. I think guys too, they like to kind of prove themselves, and I don't necessarily mean that always to other guys or to girls or anything. Sometimes they just want to prove themselves to themselves. So a lot of times I think they get caught up in that game of like trying to always not following a specific plan, just constantly putting the pedal to the floor, and then there's no gas in the tank, but tomorrow I'm going to do the same thing again. And then they run into that problem of spinning their tires, or they see, a buddy of theirs who's making progress and they get frustrated and different things like that. I don't know. Do girls get caught up in that as much, do you think?
Like the competitiveness, or
like trying to prove something in terms of like the weight they move or the reps they do?
I think I want to say yeah. Just like speaking like personally from my own experience, like that was something that like I was always like really proud of, like being strong. So like I always wanted to like, prove like I can do this and I can do that. I don't know if all girls think like that, but like I love being strong.
Yeah.
So like because I had worked on my strength for so long with you and I was finally able to show that I was strong.
Yeah.
It was something that like I kind of wanted to show off,
Yeah, and it's so funny too.
Sounds so conceited, but it's the truth.
No, it is, and you are very strong. I remember the first time you came in here, and the first few times, and I remember seeing you like, I think it was squat, deadlift, and maybe bench press at that time, right off the start. And I thought to myself, I'm like, she is moving a ton of weight with like a lot of things we could adjust, and I'm like, this is gonna be crazy when she's able to. And even that being said, like when you hit your 355 deadlift and your, let's say, 305 squat or whatever it was, you weren't even training for strength specifically at that time. Like you were training for like a little bit of bodybuilding style mixed with a little bit of strength. I can only imagine if you were just strength focused and that was your primary goal, which kind of gets boring for a lot of people. It gets boring for me. I don't always train that way, and oftentimes I don't train that way. But your numbers could have probably even been higher, or could probably even be higher than 180 bench press, which is crazy.
I know, like that's what I was saying. Like yesterday, I was not expecting to hit 180 because like after last year's PR, 170, was it 170 or 175?
I think it was 175.
Yeah. Like I attempted 175 multiple, well, I shouldn't say multiple, but a few times throughout the year because I wanted to hit that again. But because I hadn't been really pushing myself, like I failed every single time I tried. I failed and then I was like, I'm giving up. I'm not going to try 175. This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then like, for the last 2-3 weeks, maybe 4, I've been really like into the gym again. Like there was like half a year of me just like kind of doing mediocre workouts, just being comfortable, just coming to the gym, doing my thing and leaving.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I don't know, I just got this fire inside of me. I'm like, I want to push hard again. And so, yeah, I wasn't like really pushing that hard, but like, I guess I was. So then like within like 4 weeks now, I've just like hit 180 all of a sudden. It was pretty stoked about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you look back to on that, young Nancy, young 17, 18-year-old Nancy, 19, maybe 20, whatever ages, outside of the training side of things, just in terms of you look back at her maybe in the gym world or the fitness world and stuff like that, do you have any advice for her? I don't know if emotionally is the right word, but just like as a person. Like, do you wish that I know for me, looking back, it would be a lot of things I would say would be like, hey, dude, you're drop the ego. Like
Mm-hmm.
just because you're working hard or you can lift a little bit more than that guy or something like that, or you look a little better than that guy, doesn't mean you're
Oh
not
yeah.
better than anybody
Yeah.
else, and you don't have anything to prove.
And I think that's something that like anyone can, well, I don't know. I don't want to speak for everyone, but like I feel like ego is always something that you can work on personally.
Yeah.
Like I feel like especially like in the fitness industry, you know?
Mm.
Like I don't, you talked about this recently. Was it on a podcast or was it on an Instagram reel or something?
What was
But
it?
it was um like in fitness, it's a very like appearance based sport, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously like your ego gets caught up in it, and you know, like it's all about the looks. So obviously like that's gonna become like an issue, or you know, come up to be a thing for some people. And I think more than not, like we're all in the gym either to, I don't know, usually look better
Yeah, I
and
think
get
everybody's there for
stronger.
that.
And so like yeah, that has a lot to do with your ego, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it does. It's so funny. Like I'm not exempt from it. I had a situation today when we were making reels,
Uh-huh.
and we're basically talking about how to take a better selfie in the mirror, which I think is like a funny idea for a reel, and too, like a lot of young people want to take, you know, a picture of themselves and see the picture, whether they post it or they don't. They want to be able to look at that picture and feel like, oh, you know what, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing pretty good. Like
Yeah.
I feel good about myself when I look at that picture. Obviously you can always pick something apart, but feel good. So we're making that. And Zach, the guy who does the videoing and the editing, he's like, "Hey, well, let's show you in the mirror." And I'm heavier right now, and I just laughed. I'm like, "No, no, no, no!" And he laughed at me. He's like, "Isn't this what you're kind of teaching?
Yeah.
Like kind of showing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but not right now." Yeah, which is funny. I just didn't feel like I was the greatest example, but it's like nobody's really exempt. It's just like catching yourself.
Yeah.
Being like,
I know.
This is just.
And
go ahead.
yeah, like I feel like that was, and I mean like even now still sometimes I'm like, you know, doesn't matter if you've trained for 7-8 years or you just came to the gym 2 weeks ago, you know, like nobody's better than the other person. And like you just need to remind yourself, like, stay humble, you know.
Yeah, it kind of sounds cheesy, but it's true. I would say it might be this thing that I was talking about. Maybe tell me if it was. I think a pet peeve of mine is like the concept of like in fitness, sometimes it becomes your body or how much weight you can lift is who you are.
Yeah.
And then I think guys in particular, just because I'm speaking from a guy's perspective, they forget that they maybe can work on their personality a little bit or can have hobbies outside of the gym that can be interesting. So then that maybe if they want a girlfriend or they want friends to find them interesting, that maybe doing something outside of the gym could benefit them. That people actually don't care as much to a certain point about how much weight you lift or how great you think your six-pack looks.
Yeah. And honestly, like to a person that has no interest in the gym, like that would be so boring. And they would have no idea. I could tell someone that doesn't go to the gym, I can bench 180. They're gonna be like, okay. Like they won't be impressed at all because they will have like, they won't know like, is that normal for someone your size or your age or your strength? Like, you know. So yeah, definitely like having more to your personality than just the gym is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, and even if you're around gym people in a non-gym setting, it becomes weird too, a little bit weird too. You're like talking, like obviously you have your friends. Like I feel like if I met you out and you hit that PR that day, you might tell me that.
Yeah.
But it's usually a short conversation and save those for like the gym or like moments like this.
Yeah.
Whereas some people you'll sit down and all of a sudden, I always find that my least favorite conversations, just because of it's what I do all day. I'll go out and that's what people think that they can relate on me or they can relate with me, so they can talk with it. And in my head, I'm like, this is the last thing I want to talk about a lot of times.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give guys? Like, especially younger guys. I mean, maybe you have advice for older guys, but especially like where you are now, looking back.
Like, work on your form.
That's your thing.
Yeah, like if you're new to the gym and like you're just starting off, like figure out your form, make sure that's solid, and then start loading up the weights, you know? But there's nothing more cringy in like a painful way than to watch someone try to push really heavy weight with terrible form. And all I'm thinking is like, man, if he hurts himself right now, like that's gonna be painful for like long term, you know? So it's like, yeah. And I mean like that goes for girls too, but I feel like girls aren't usually so quick to hit the heavy weights when they're new. But yeah, like it's okay if you're new. It's okay if you have just started working out. You don't need to like prove anything, you know? Just like figure out your form and then start pushing weight. And
yeah,
like don't get intimidated by guys that have been there for years and that can bench twice as much as you, you know? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I like a girl isn't gonna care if you can bench 225 or if you can bench 315, you know?
Wait, what?
Like,
what?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Pell.
Hold up. I got an appointment. Is this true? Yeah, and you know what? Like even on those are like the only lifts that someone would look at what your numbers are. Is like those big compound lifts.
Yeah.
And the people who actually care way more about 9 times out of 10 care way more about that you're not gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
Than they do about the number on the bar. And then eventually they're fascinated by like, wow, that's really good. You lifted that. But no one is going and looking at what you bicep curl.
No.
And no one is going to check how much you do on lat pull downs or tricep press downs. Yeah. Nobody really cares. There's so many people who don't do that much weight who have great triceps or who have like awesome biceps and they're using like 25 or 20 pound dumbbells. And other guy's using 40s or something. Yeah. And
swinging
and his biceps aren't that great. Maybe. Yeah. That's funny. I didn't expect you actually to say form. I was thinking something else. Like I was thinking you were going to say something like clean up after yourself or, you know.
I mean, like the gym that I go to, like the guys are like, I mean, I think everyone is pretty good with cleaning up behind themselves and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's like one of the.
What about for girls? What would you recommend girls? Piece of advice would you give them?
This is intimidating when you're new and stuff, but like if you need help or advice, you know, like ask someone that you see there regularly or that you can tell like has been working out for a while, because like no one's gonna look down on you or frown on you if you have a question, you know, if you're new. And like it actually makes me really happy when doesn't happen often to me, but like it has happened that a girl had asked me like to check her squat form and if it was good, and I was like, that's so like so nice, like to just, you know,
the compliment.
Yeah, I mean like it's, I don't know, maybe I'm wording it wrong, but like it's good for her to like have the guts to like ask a stranger like, can you critique my form, you know, like I'm new to the gym. And so I was.
Do you feel kind of respected in a way too, in terms of like you have put in work, you have put in time, which is worth something, that is worth something. So if someone like this person who's maybe new or uncertain, they have enough respect to come and say, hey, I see you're good at this. Can you offer some of that to me?
Yeah, but like I said, that's rare. Like, yeah, strangers hardly ever come up to me.
No, yeah, I mean, you're not that like.
I've been told more often than not that I'm intimidating. Yeah. And so like it's, unless I know you or I've gotten to know you at the gym and we make small talk or we're friends, Like, I'll hardly have a stranger come up to me.
Well, I know you from training in here for years, and
Mm-hmm.
the amount of times I've seen the look on your face of like F off. I can only imagine the people that don't know you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like I guess I do have a very like mad face when I'm like in my zone, you know?
Man,
And I have
funny.
tried to tell myself more often than not, like, just smile, because even my smile isn't a smile, you know? It's like hardly like, you
No
know?
teeth, just
Yeah. So like I just need to try to look a little bit friendlier, and maybe like people won't be so afraid to talk to me. But I mean,
have you ever asked the like maybe in two ways. Have you ever asked the wrong person for advice, like from yourself, or have you ever been asked by the wrong person? I mean, especially as a girl, you have a little bit different perspective, but has that ever happened? Like you open conversation in terms of gym stuff with the wrong individual, whether it's a guy or a girl?
I can't remember a scenario. It might have happened, but not that I can remember off the top of my head.
I recall like on different occasions, kind of opening a conversation and then not being able to close the conversation, and being like actually recently looking down at my phone. This one was actually really recent, so it's fresh in my memory. Looking down at my phone, and it was a 9.5 minute rest in between sets, and I was like, oh great. And it was in between sets of bicep curls too, so it wasn't like an exercise that you need that much rest for. Yeah, it was really good.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. Oh, that's my story. But I don't have too many good gym stories. Do you have any good gym stories? You're in a public gym quite often, way more than I am. So
it has its perks, but also comes with, you know, drama.
like, what's the craziest thing you've seen in the gym that you can say, obviously, on this podcast?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to let that marinate for a bit. I don't know right now what I would say.
I know one story off the top of my head for you.
Go ahead.
The time you spotted someone squatting 400 and some pounds.
Oh my word. Yes, I forgot that was like back in the core days.
Yeah. What happened? You should tell that story. You'll tell it better than I will.
Oh my goodness. So this guy at the gym, he was going for a PR, and he had, I don't know how much weight, but it's
like 4 something, wasn't it?
It was heavy, yeah. Regardless whether it was 3 something or 4 something, it's heavy.
Yeah.
And so he wanted me to spot him, so I was spotting him, and like one does, you put your arms kind of like under their armpit area, right?
Yeah.
So that you can kind of like assist like that in case you need to. And he had his like safety bars set way too low. And I always say, like, if you're not squatting heavy, whatever, it's not a big deal. But if you're going for PRs or if you're going for really heavy sets, always check your safety bars, because you never know.
And it doesn't hurt.
No, exactly. And they're there to save your life. And so this guy goes down. I don't know if he was going for reps or if it was a 1 rep. Regardless, he wasn't coming back up. So he throws the weight off backwards, off his back, instead of like just going down onto the safety bars because they were too low. And because my arms were there, that bar drops on my forearms with such a bang. I thought I broke my arm, and they swole up so bad.
And what did you do after that?
Like I was just like, yeah, I'm fine. And I just like, I walked away, and the next few days my arm was so swollen and sore. It was crazy.
That's one of my favorite stories. Just you being like, no, I'm fine. And just thinking, I broke both my forearms.
Yeah, it was so painful. Like, it's like it hit the safety bar, obviously, like as the weight came down, my arms went down, but like it hit my arms first and then it like landed on the safety bars.
Yeah, so your arms took that weight for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I don't have too many like
you
that.
Remember that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. Like I watched a kid one time load one side of a bar on accident.
Oh.
And he was great. Like he was fine.
Yeah.
So it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, what's this guy doing? Maybe he knows what he's doing. And then he unracks it. His friend's spotting him, and his friend doesn't tell him or anything. Maybe his friend didn't notice, or was thinking the same thing as me. And he goes to unrack it and gets it like 2 inches off the J cups or whatever, and just flips himself off the bench press, everything. And he laughed, and he was fine, and everybody kind of got a good joke, but. Yeah, I was like, what is happening here? That exercise did not work out for him.
No.
But it's good. So if you're new to the gym, just remember, sometimes if you do something dumb, you just get a laugh about it.
Oh yeah, obviously, if there's no serious injuries, you can always laugh about yourself.
Yeah. What remotivated you in the gym? Like, what was it?
No, I was just something just hit me couple weeks ago, and I was just like not feeling it, not having a good day. I was just like mentally not in a good space, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go to the gym and do my workout now. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm gonna push myself a little harder. And then when I left, I felt like a different person. I'm like, you know what, this is how I feel after pushing myself a little bit harder than I normally did for the past couple months. So then I just like got this fire inside me. I'm like, I want to start like living again, in the gym, and not just like kind of existing for like a couple minutes there and then leaving. So yeah, it's been really fun.
You think you needed that time though? When it wasn't as intense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I think like my body or our bodies also need kind of like a break, and like when you're constantly pushing like so hard, then it's kind of like it becomes, I don't know, not as exciting maybe. So yeah, just like getting that new fuel for the gym really like what did it for me. And now I'm just like ready to go. Now I'm back to the like, oh, I should probably take a rest day,
Yeah, I seen like you did come in here. I knew something was up when you walked in here and you had like this, it looked like Tupperware. We hadn't seen each other in a while. You walked in with this thing of Tupperware, and it looked like what was inside was chicken and spinach, and I knew you were back. I was like, what? I'm just messing with you.
I'm like, when did this happen?
And you're like, what? No? Yeah, that's how I knew the spark was relit.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
And like, it's always like in a healthier way, like over the course of these years, like my training has always like become better. Like, I mean, together with the nutrition side of things, like
you feel like you took another step forward, kind of thing. Yeah,
like it's always gotten like, better and better.
And you've been able to stay away for the most part from injury too, hey?
Yeah. There was a time where my back bothered me.
Like your lower back?
Yeah.
Were you training here then?
I think so. It was a long time ago. It's been so long since I've had like something that has bothered me for a long time. Just like minor things. Maybe like my shoulder was bothering me for like a week or two, but then it was gone. So like, yeah, I've never like had like a really bad injury that I had to like step back from like training hard.
Why do you think that is?
Coach.
Yeah, that was a setup, eh? And just lob that pass over to you and you just have to answer it.
Yeah, I mean, like having someone that can have good advice for you when things are hurting a little and tells you to step back from this or maybe try warming up like that or whatever, but also just consistently training with good form and trying
wreck yourself.
Yeah, do something stupid.
And I imagine you haven't just gotten advice from me, to be fair. That she did answer and she said, good coach, but I imagine you've gotten coaching from a variety of people, just being in the gym for so long.
The majority has definitely been at Fuel United.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not me specifically, the gym specifically. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pelly Friesen.
Yeah, like say my name and then we'll tag me under here. And then outside of the gym, let's talk about outside of the gym as much as you want to.
I do.
Who is Nancy outside of the gym?
Well,
where are you from? I really actually want to get into this because you actually don't talk about this a lot. Even when I make I make a lot of jokes about this, but you actually never really talk about this.
An interesting story.
Okay, we'll start here. I think a lot of people disagree right from the beginning. Where are you from originally?
Germany.
Okay, so pretty interesting. Like when did you move here?
I was 8 months old. So in 1999, we moved here May 8th.
May 8th.
So it'll be like 24 years in 6 days that I've lived here.
So are you a Canadian citizen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Like, do you have a Canadian passport?
Yes, Pelly, I do.
I'm curious. I don't know how that works. Maybe you guys
I've been a Canadian citizen for many, many years already.
Did you have to do anything special to get citizenship?
No, I was a kid. My parents did that.
Oh, nice. So, are they Canadian citizens then too? Yeah, I know people who moved from Germany who aren't Canadian citizens yet.
Yeah, but after 24 years, like you'd hope we are Canadian citizens.
Well, I'd hope, but I don't make the rule.
Yeah.
How was that? How did that?
I mean,
what's that
like?
That
was such a tough transition for an 8-month-old. Like
learning a new language, learning a language.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, I don't remember anything of that, but growing up, obviously spoke German only in my house. So I was self-taught English by my siblings that came home from school and would speak English. And then I just picked it up. And then when I went to kindergarten, I knew how to speak it.
Really? And you still know how to speak German, right? Can you speak it pretty fluently?
Yes, I think so.
Dang. Do you have a
Don't make me say anything.
Do you have a favorite phrase in German? Is there let's say you stub your toe or you're frustrated or there's a joke or anything? Do you have a phrase that you go to still?
No, because I don't really use German that much. I use mainly English, but
this is an age-old question that I always like to hear the answer to. Do you think in German or in English?
English.
You think in English?
Yeah.
Do you ever think in German?
Now I'm thinking about it, but I don't think so.
Interesting.
That's so weird. I've never thought about what language I think in.
Yeah, I actually think in German, but I only know I only speak in English.
I just
broke my chair. Yeah, I only speak in English though.
Oh my goodness.
And no one can ever prove me wrong that I don't think in German.
That's hilarious. No, after living here for 24 years, it's hard to maintain the German, you know?
Yeah. Does your family still speak, if you're with your family, do they all still speak German?
Yeah. Yeah, we speak German.
Is that tough? Is it tough to transition back and forth for you, or is it?
No. No.
That's crazy. I wish I had a skill, an ability like that.
I wish I spoke more languages than just 2.
Yeah, and okay, we're gonna get to there. There is more. Okay, so you grew up, your family moved from Germany, you were just a baby. You had to learn a new language, tough times, things were really hard. What was growing up like? Because your family, I'm imagining they brought some culture over with them.
Yeah.
And then everybody's speaking German in your house, and then now you're going to school.
Yeah, you definitely feel like an outsider. Now it's definitely a lot different. There's so many European people here in Winkler, but when I moved in 99, I was the only German in my school, and in my grade that I could remember, which I think in grade 2 another kid came that was also German, but it was very, it was mainly me, you know, that was German, and then I always felt like a little bit like an outside. Like
You
I
didn't
was
have
also like raised in a very conservative home, and I dressed differently, and so like I was just like the other kids, you know.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I didn't dress like the other kids either, but
I mean,
for probably different reasons. Just my pants were a little shorter than all the other kids, and so how did you dress? Like that was different.
were skirts
Okay,
and braids, and yeah, very
you were ahead of your time, really. I feel like that stuff's all in now.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, if you saw a picture now, you'd be like, oh yeah,
did you feel
little
that
German Nancy.
little German hat? Did you look very like you could have been placed back into like the German culture, the German world?
Well, yeah, I mean, like it depends. Like also your heritage, you know, even though you're German doesn't mean that you dress the way that I did when I was a
Okay,
kid.
yeah, there's like there's variety within.
Not that everyone in Germany wears skirts, you know.
Yeah, the boys and girls. I was wondering about that.
But,
So did that feeling of being an outsider, did that kind of follow you all through school? Really?
yeah, till I graduated.
How was that in high school then? Because I feel like that
It
time,
sucked.
yeah.
Yeah, because I went to public school till grade 6, and then I homeschooled for 3 years.
Okay.
7, 8, and 9. I hated it. It was awful. It didn't really do anything either. I was just like secluded from everyone, you know. And then going back for grade 10 to 12, I was just like, wow, nothing's changed. I'm still like that outsider that doesn't fit in. And yeah, then I wanted so badly to fit in, so I started rebelling and doing my own thing like grade 12. So it was
Dang.
never like I was never like part of like a big friends group. I was just kind of like the loner girl with like 2 to 3 friends, maybe. I don't know. I just never felt like I fit in. But I mean,
That-
hey, I'd rather not fit in than have been the popular
yeah.
girl. You know,
But I know you're laughing about that, but in high
I'm
school,
still hurting.
yeah, it must have like I
Yeah.
don't want to put it on you either.
No.
Like you can only say what you, but I'm assuming that it's probably like it probably didn't feel good.
No,
Like, did you
like
want?
I don't want to make it sound like, oh my goodness, I was such a like lonely girl. Like I had friends, but like not many, and I felt like I wasn't like that close with them either, so it was never like a best friend that I go to school with, you know.
Yeah.
Just
What
like people that I knew that I was friends with.
So how did you kind of work through that? Like how did you, because I think a lot of kids, that a lot more kids actually do feel that. I know I felt that, and I wasn't in your shoes at all. Like my situation wasn't nearly as drastic, but like how did you go through it?
I don't know. It's time.
Just kept showing up.
Yeah, I mean like obviously I enjoyed being in public school more than homeschooling, so like that part was just like, you know, I'm different and I look different, but um it's okay, whatever.
Are you still dressing different, like in high school? Like were you still dressing
Yeah,
in
like
skirts
yeah.
and stuff? Yeah. Wow, that's so
Until
crazy.
yeah,
I
until like grade 12.
really I don't remember, like I haven't known you at that time at
No.
all, which I'm proud to say. I'm proud to say I didn't, because I would have been what like 20 something or whatever, and I'm glad I didn't know a high school kid. um, did you? And then grade 12. Okay, what happened in grade 12?
Then I wanted to be cool.
Oh, so what was the first step of being cool?
I started wearing pants.
And what'd your parents think?
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Would
Not
you
a fan.
ever like?
I got in a lot of trouble.
Would you ever wear like a skirt to school and then change at school?
No, I never did that.
Okay, that seems like the move.
But I know of people that did that. But I was just like, I just left the way I wanted to dress, and I got caught, I got in trouble, and I didn't, then made it.
So if you got in trouble, would you have to go change?
Yeah, I was told to change.
Shoot, that must have been very frustrating.
It was, but I also didn't really
Care that
listen.
much? Oh, okay.
I just rebelled and it wasn't obedient child.
Yeah. Do you feel like since that time, do you feel like that's changed in terms of fitting in with a group or in terms of being pushed to the outside of things? Do you feel like you're more a part of things than you used to be?
Yeah.
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 Why is it? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think I feel more like me, you know?
Hmm. Like
I
you're
don't
okay
know.
with yourself.
Yeah. Like I just like who I am now, and I like I don't think that clothing really defines me that much anymore, you know.
Yeah.
I'll wear a dress or wear a skirt now, but I just like, being able to be myself and do what I want and not having someone tell me like, "Oh, that's not appropriate. You shouldn't."
Yeah. You're just a little bit more sure of yourself in that
Yeah.
aspect. It's interesting too. Like, would you agree that like when you start to understand yourself more, like you start to like kind of look at yourself a little bit more, you find yourself with more people, like more people that you enjoy being around and stuff,
Yeah.
rather than I think sometimes it's like you think outward and you think about like how I can change and adjust to all these people so I can have those friends. I can, if I wear jeans or if I wear pants, I'll have more friends and all this stuff, which maybe works in high school, but doesn't entirely, it maybe
No.
kind of works in some groups outside of it. But I think a lot has to do with like your self confidence and your self esteem that, would you say that attracts people to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think just like um also just being like yourself, and not trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
um I didn't I didn't gain any good friends out of rebelling like that, you know.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I got into a friend group that I was friends with for years, but like weren't great friends.
No. What do you think? Like, did you get into trouble in that friend
Yeah,
group?
very a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, can I ask you what kind of trouble you got in?
Uh,
You don't have to say. I'm just curious.
well, I mean, just, doing things that like I shouldn't have done. Just being like a rebel and
Yeah.
just doing all the things that,
Like,
a teenager does that
yeah.
that doesn't lead to, yeah, good thing.
Now, kind of like the gym thing, like where you took some time and pulled back away from the gym, and you feel like, okay, you kind of needed that. Do you feel like there was a benefit to that rebellious stage?
Yeah, I definitely think so because I realized that I realized how important your friends are and how much influence they have in your life.
Yeah.
And you look at your friend and like, I'm gonna pick up 4 characteristics that they have. Am I okay with that?
Hmm.
That's who you
Yeah.
and I think I definitely learned a lot from being friends with those people. Um, and I know that I now know who I want to be and who I don't want to be and stuff like that. So yeah, just like way more sure and whoops. Sorry, Siri.
She wants in on the podcast.
She said she's not sure she understands. Well, yeah. I think just being more sure in myself now and like who I am and just being comfortable with like the friends I'm with.
Yeah. You actually, yeah, you look at your friends for more than just I don't want to be alone or
Yeah.
I don't want to be uncool. It's like, no, what do I want with my life? And are these people helping?
Yeah, they bring value to my life and they push me in the direction that I want to go.
Which is was that tough to do in a way? Like, I think some people, or at least I watch or I've experienced or you see it, like some people have a tough time doing that because they feel like they're being selfish in a way that hurts other people, where they're saying, hey, you know what, this friend group, what's happening here isn't good for me. I have to leave it and maybe make different friends, or for now maybe not have as many friends and be okay with that. But sometimes you see some people get stuck, like they're like, well, if I leave these friends, they're going to hate me and they're not going to like me anymore, and if I make these changes or adjustments I think I have to make in my life right now, they're going to think I'm a bad person, when in reality you're going to become a better person and maybe even be an example sometimes.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
intentionally, but be an example that this isn't the only way to live your life. Sure, you can, whatever, no judgment, but there is another way to live your life.
Yeah.
Like, was that tough for you to exit that friend group, or did it happen?
It happened pretty drastically. When I don't know at what point exactly, but I was like looking into my future and I'm like, if I continue surrounding myself with these people, like that is not what I want for my future. So I need to cut ties now.
Yeah.
And I did that, and did it very like abruptly. Kind
How did that
of.
go?
It wasn't taken very well from a closer friend that I had, but it was something that I had to do.
Would you have done it now, like knowing now, would you have done it differently, or do you feel like, hey, that was the thing I needed to do? It didn't feel great, but it was, I needed to do it that way.
It changed my life, definitely.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah.
That's cool. See, I never knew that about you. As long as we've kind of known each other, that's something I didn't know. Another question I kind of had was kind of the frustration of your parents being more conservative. You had to wear skirts to school, all that stuff. Looking back, did you see in maybe not those things specifically, but a benefit in some of those things that you didn't like? Was there any things that you look back now and you're like, hey, you know what, I didn't like that, but I see how it actually improved me as a person?
I don't. I always think like I'm thankful for the way I was raised,
Mm-hmm.
you know, regardless whether if I liked it or didn't as a teenager, because I felt so like um out of place. Um Looking back now, like I'm very grateful for the way they raised me. They raised me with like obviously like a great Christian that taught me a lot. And now as a mature adult,
Mature-ish.
yeah, I'm like,
Easy.
I should maybe not say that, but yeah, but like now as an adult looking back, like um I'm very grateful for that, because yeah,
Yeah.
they taught me great things. I mean, um I don't know, maybe if things hadn't been so strict, maybe I wouldn't have rebelled so,
Mm.
and maybe that could have helped me not get into some situation I got in.
You feel like you pulled the other way so hard that, yeah. Well, one thing, like, and the reason I asked that too is because one thing I did, like, we were talking about being sassy in the gym and stuff like that, but there was also the plus side to it, where especially where I was starting like with the gym, having the space, having a lot of new people in here. One thing you did very good was you wouldn't simply just take, this is what you do. Like, you did want to understand, and not only for the benefit of being better at it, but being like, hey, I'm not just going to trust what you're saying because I don't know you that well yet.
Yeah.
I want to be walked through this. I want to understand this, and I want to know that you actually are interested in me improving, and that's where this is going, kind of thing, which I can respect quite a bit. And you always kind of had that.
I was always that, why this, why that.
Why, and you always presented it as, hey, I have this, like, I have these boundaries in my life and in the information I'm collecting and from who I'm collecting it from. Like, it was like a little bit of guardrails, and you could pick up on that, which was really good for me because it never let me get away with simply saying something without thinking about it first. It's like I had to think about it. And of course, I would try like saying, you know, like, oh, just do this. We're going to go do that or whatever. And then I would probably get a little bit of feedback of like sassiness back. But at the same time, it was really good because it was like, no, like, hey, what are you doing? Why is she doing that? Why are you getting her to go do that exercise? And also the other thing that you did really well is you worked really hard and you wanted to work really hard, even on bad days. That is not everybody has that. There's a lot of people that I've trained and that I've met in the gym who, as soon as things get uncomfortable beyond the point of being a little bit uncomfortable, done. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm out.
Yeah.
And whatever, not everybody's like that, but the people who are, you have to kind of compliment or recognize it. And that is something you did right from the start, which I'm guessing you grew up with a little bit in terms of that. Like when you want something that you want to work at, you'll work dang hard at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think I come from like a family of like good work ethic. And I mean, you know, my sister, they also trained here. And yeah, like I do remember that, always like wanting to lift heavy, always wanting to work hard. But to me, that was just like normal. I didn't think I was pushing myself extra hard or like going beyond what is normal, you know? I just like, that was just who I am. Like, I want to work hard for what I want.
Yeah, your baseline of hard work was a lot of times I actually, and your sister too. I have a question after this about exactly that topic, but it was a lot of times the opposite of what I normally would have to do. So there's a lot of times like, hey, no, like we're not going that hard on this.
Yeah,
like for a reason.
I remember that.
And,
like,
and
kind
you
of
being
holding
frustrated.
back.
Yeah. And it was a lot of that because it's like, hey, you know what? Just because you can push hard right now, your lower back is really tired. Your legs are still good, but we have to figure out a different way to train that you don't end up not being able to train for 3 weeks. So we'd have to kind of pull back. In terms of working hard in the gym, between you and your sister, who also flipping worked unbelievably hard, who would you say is the harder worker in the gym? And I want you to think back to like your peak of like motivation. I'm going to actually let me set up a scenario. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to set up a whole thing.
Okay.
You guys have just finished some really tough sets of squats. You guys are doing 8 reps, but 8 heavy reps. And you guys did 4 really good sets. Now you're walking over to, this is a whole story, bro. Now you're walking over to a bench where you're going to do Bulgarian split squats for 15 reps each leg.
No.
Who wins? Who's going to outwork who?
I mean, strength wise, I've always been stronger than her. So like I would probably grab some heavier dumbbells, but I feel like we would both do.
You'd both get to your 15 reps?
I would maybe complain more.
Oh, really?
I don't know. The thing is, like, we haven't trained that often together, so I don't really know like her gym ethic that much. We have like trained together in the past, but like I like doing my own thing at the gym, and so does she. But like, yeah, it's been a while. But she also puts in the work. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I would maybe have to like ask her what she.
Yeah, can we possibly set this up in the future?
What do you mean?
And just like get you two to both grab, like just do like sets of reps of Bulgarian split squats until someone quits.
Workout,
This whole scenario I've set up. No, but maybe someday that'd be a good YouTube video. Just who wins, and then you guys obviously for the content and for the views, you guys would have to speak German the whole time.
Oh right, so I mean, so that would make sense.
We're trying to
titles on the whole video.
Yeah, we're trying to appeal to a broader audience. We're trying to become global. So maybe get some videos that blow up overseas.
Honestly, I think you'd get more viewers out of the English spectrum than the German. Germany is very small.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that actually reminded me of something you said earlier too, even about getting asked about form. That's one thing I still mention to people now. If they, if someone, I'm like, if you're not certain about your form in like a squat or this exercise or that exercise, if you see Nancy in the gym, just go ask her. Like I remember sending so many people, just go ask Nancy, and they're like, oh, she's kind of intimidating. She's strong. She's in the zone. I don't know if I can. I'm like, no, she'll be fine. Just even if she's annoyed a little bit, good. Like tell her that I did it, kind of thing. But that was one thing that was a really, for me, a helpful reference of people who would train here, you know, like once or twice a week or every once in a while. Then I could go, if they're going to the same gym as you, I could just send them your way.
Yeah.
Because you gained quite a bit of knowledge through that process where you could help people. It's cool. Okay, so back to you growing
story.
Up. Yeah, your life story. Okay, so you're out of your friend group. How old would you have been then? Like when you exited that friend group?
Maybe like 21.
Okay.
20, 21.
So that'd be shortly before you started training here then?
Yeah.
Wow. Did your working out change, or did any other aspects of your life change at that time when you changed friend groups?
Well, I didn't really change. I just ended my friendship with that group, and then I was kind of like a loner. And well, I found a friend I friends with pretty quickly, so I never like really felt like, you know, alone or that I had abandoned them or whatever. Like it was like my life just kind of moved on in a better direction.
Cool. And so like from that position, you're changing, like you're kind of changing friend groups, you're finding new friend groups. What would you say like the trajectory that you started to go on would be, from maybe having some bad habits, having some bad influences? What were the differences that you were kind of aiming for? Like in your head, you're like, you were saying you knew you didn't want to be this person. What was the person that you were aiming to be at that time,
like
at least?
Better lifestyle. Not like drinking, smoking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like obviously if you've done that, that's not break easy. That kind of followed me for a couple of years. But yeah, just changing like the influences around me, better friends and stuff. You know, lessen those bad habits, I guess.
Did anybody ever tell you? Like, did anybody ever say, I mean, outside of your parents, anybody ever say, hey, Nancy, like, what are you doing?
No.
Nobody did? Did you wish somebody would have? Or would you have listened?
I think if someone would have, I still wouldn't have listened. Stubborn. Like, yeah. I'm like, I need to learn for myself, kind of. And so, yeah, I think I would have done my thing. Maybe that would have been like in the back of my mind, like often, but it wouldn't have like maybe like actually made me like, it would have to be like a personal.
Yeah. So do you, saying that, like with your personality, do you find you look up to people, or what do you like in terms of kind of in your life and in your directions you go, like people or things that inspire you? Well, was there people that you looked up to that you were like, hey, you know what, that's a great example to me?
Yeah, definitely. And like not a ton of people, but like there's a few people in my life that, and I really like, you know, how they portray themselves, how they do, you know, the grace they have, and you know, like just their lifestyle. And I was like, I can get there. I just need to change some things.
I feel like grace is a really good word. Like, I feel like that's like, that sums up people that you aspire to be really well when you're on that track. Like it there's so much to being graceful. It's like grace is like, hey, how do you handle really stressful situations? How do you handle situations that make you mad? How do you handle situations that make you upset? And not even that, but like, how do you handle situations that make other people upset? Like
Yep.
maybe you even caused it and you have to figure out, hey, did I do something wrong, or is this person upset for a different reason? And being graceful in all those situations, I feel like grace sums that up so well.
Yeah, and that's something that like I'm working on my characteristics, right? Like just trying to be that person.
That someone else can look up to.
Yeah, like and like that's like an everyday thing, you know? Like
Mm,
you constantly like work on yourself and it's not like, okay, I nailed it. Now I'm good, you know? It's like no, it's another day and try again and all over again.
yeah,
I was like yesterday I went to work and I had very little patience. And I'm like, oh man, like I either need a little bit more sleep or I just need to say another prayer before I go to work. But like, yeah, I do like I notice those things in myself when they come up right away. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that, you know? Like I don't want that to like be one of my characteristics. So I need to work on something to change that so that tomorrow when I come back to work, I'm not feeling like that, you know?
yeah, yeah. I think. Would you say you're pretty like you have like a lot of self dialogue in your head, like
Oh yeah.
in terms of self awareness? Maybe sometimes too much. Yeah, like you're pretty. I think we have that in common too. I think we've related on that
Yeah.
before of like leaving a situation and being like, did I portray the person I want to be?
Yeah.
And then,
Or did I say too much? Did I not
mm,
say enough? Or did I say something wrong? Could I have said that better?
mhm. Did you have that in those times when you were rebelling as well? Did you have those moments of that, or did it just look different? Like, was it more so like, did I say that wrong because I don't want to lose this group of friends, or did I say that wrong? I'm not going to fit in with this group.
I feel like that has like come like recently, the
Mm,
past few years. I don't really remember like really caring about the effect that I had on people when I was that age. I was just kind of like, you know, living my life and saying what I wanted to say and kind of thing, you know, like not being that careful about portrayed.
yeah, that's really interesting because I think I knew you again. I think I knew you after that time, and getting to know you, that was something um, that was very interesting. That like you were a hard worker, but a part of the reason I always felt was you're a hard worker because you were hard on yourself. That you could hop in your car and you could drive home, and lots of times in my head, if things didn't work out, I would have to think, hey, if this workout goes a certain way, I have to be careful because she's going to drive home and she's going to be very hard on herself, which will work against us in the long run. So that's the way I knew you as,
Yeah.
always kind of being in here, and even like the the conversations that come up when you're talking about your life, kind of resting and stuff like that. Different topics come up, and too, you hearing it and listening to like the kind of things you were going through in your
Yeah.
life at different times. I'm sure you have things from your perspective that you heard me say.
Mhm.
But it was always very much like problem solving. Like I might not be
Yeah.
happy with
Yeah.
this situation, but I need to talk myself through.
Yeah. I know like so many of our sessions were like therapy
Yeah.
for me because I would just like blurt out everything that was like going on in my life or what I was having issues with or what, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I mean still to this day I'm still really hard on myself, but I'm learning how to. It's like, you know,
Yeah. And how do you find that from your perspective? How do you find that balance of like not being so hard on yourself, but also holding yourself accountable?
right. Um I think it comes down to like letting go of the things that are out of your control
Mm.
because I like to have control of everything and know what's going on at every minute, you know, and just like just kind of like have a plan for
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I'm very much so like schedule person and I need to know what's going on, and kind of just like letting go of things that like, are out of your control,
Yeah.
and just like trying to work on the things that like you can change.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
And
How do you feel it's working for you?
it's the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, if you've been hard on yourself for years and years and years, like even if it's body image or something like, you know, other things, like there's so much rewiring that you have to do from like years of you just like telling
Hmm.
yourself like you need to be harder on yourself. You need to push yourself harder. If you're not doing this, then you're not working hard enough, Like it's
Makes me sad, man. That makes me really sad that I know people are like that. Um, it's interesting too, like the way you see yourself or the way people see themselves compared to the way other people see them too.
Mhm.
I've had a few people in the gym that have really been created what the gym is and helped me create what the gym is.
Yep.
Um, and oftentimes the thing I've experienced with those people is kind of the thing you're talking about, is like this they're very hard on themselves, um and they don't realize necessarily the value that they have.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting. I'm going to speak about you in particular because there is other people that kind of have had that impact in the gym that I won't speak on just because they're not in the room.
Yeah.
um but the amount of times and the amount of investment kind of that went into you or that goes into you and that felt so easy because of your hard work and stuff like that. um it was easy because there is and there was so much potential, despite you being so hard on yourself.
Mhm.
There's almost like, hey, I'm going to be so hard on myself, I'm going to prevent myself from doing this. And the amount of people I've kind of spoken that to, from Zach, the guy that does the editing, to Nikki, to friends, to family, it's crazy to hear and to see like the perspective or the internal dialogue that people have,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's very different from the outward perception.
Yeah.
And that's something that captivated me as you began training and as I got to know your personality. I was like, oh man, this is a person who has value so far beyond what I can do anything for. Like you have the ability to work hard, to be strong, which is inspirational. You have the ability to be somewhat self-aware, and it sounds like you're always improving that, which is good, and is someone that people want to be around. And you have the ability to make people feel important when you invest in them. So like the people who are around you in the gym, and I've seen it oftentimes just as a bystander, they want to come talk to you because you make them feel good, that you make them feel better than they felt that day. And that's beyond anything that I could do as a trainer or that I had anything a part of, but I could see it and I could observe it. But it's always interesting from the person that you can see and observe from what they're actually experiencing, because
Yeah.
the way you're talking is much different than
Yeah.
what
And
you
like
actually see.
those are things that I would have like not really thought about, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like of myself. Because you have so many thoughts in one day, and the majority of them are negative, so you never really think of yourself of like, oh man, I probably made that person's day. Like, I don't know, those are not thoughts, but like if we would think like that, then maybe we wouldn't be so hard on ourselves.
Yeah. Did you or do you believe in yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think like there's definitely something that like always, like, doubt always holds you back a little bit.
Yeah. What do you doubt? What is
I
it?
don't know, my my potential or my abilities to do certain things that I just self-sabotage.
Yeah, that'd be a great way that is a perfect way to describe it, is like, yeah, yeah. And I think in my head, I'm like, man, there's so much to, people like you, in those situations that, and I think it's something to maybe you recognize it maybe you've had the situation with other people too, where you recognize your like my shortcomings that someone else is better at. That you're like, oh man, I can't do. I'm limited in that ability. I got to work very hard at that. This person's really good at it. And you can recognize that in other people, because you're not the greatest at it. And I'm talking about myself. That's really interesting. That self-sabotage. Do you like?
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe I should go to therapy or something.
Maybe isn't that what this is right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when you start unpacking things, a lot of it always like, they say it has to do with your childhood and stuff like that. And I don't know like where to pinpoint what, but yeah, I tend to do that when things are going good or something, and then I'll be like, oh, I doubt I could do that, or I probably can't do that, or I shouldn't try because I'll probably fail at that. It's such bad negative talk. But that's something that I'm also working on. I'm working on a lot of things, and it's a slow process, but yeah.
Well, I hope someone hears, like somebody actually hears this that can relate to that can look up to you in certain ways, like especially, I'm gonna speak for you, but especially like young girls too, who are in your shoes maybe at 18 or even before you got into the gym and started doing stuff. That could be like, oh hey, she deals with that too.
Yeah.
That internal like negative talk sometimes. Dang. Do you think you're scared of anything, like in terms of progress? And if you don't want to talk about it, you can just stop me.
In which direction or topic? Like progress in where?
Do you think if you progress towards something like a dream or something big,
yeah,
that it becomes to a certain point where it becomes a little bit like scary,
yeah,
and then you're like, well, it's time to. No, I'm kidding. You don't. I was gonna say it's time to fuck this up, but I wouldn't say when you say self-sabotage, it's not really that way. It's just an adjusting.
Yeah, I definitely like. I have a fear of failure,
and if you get too far,
you're
getting closer to failure.
Yeah, like kind of. I mean, obviously in the gym it's different. Like I know I'm gonna fail on some things and stuff like that, but like in life, like I don't want to suck at something, and that's I know it's a bad mentality, because like you have to suck at something to get good at it, like we all start somewhere. But for me, like sometimes I just have like, when things are going good, then I like, what's
Yeah, that's wild. That's so, but it's real. It's kind of like what you feel. So it's a real thing.
But I don't think like, I don't know how many people deal with that, but I don't think that that's a good like mentality to have. It keeps you from like dreaming bigger and doing bigger, and that's something that like, yeah, I want to undo. We're capable of so much when we like, it's all in our head, like we keep ourselves from doing those big things that like we want to do, but we tell ourselves we can't. And it's like, why can't we? Like, have you tried?
And why can't you do it your way? Like, it's scary to do it, and then to also do it the way someone else is doing it, because you're like, can I do it that same way? Am I going to be good enough to do it that way? And then it's another story where you're like, hey, I believe in myself. I can do this, and I'm going to do it the way I believe is right for me, which I think is powerful. So how do you have you changed like self-talk a little bit?
Yeah, it's, I guess I haven't really thought about it that much, how much is, but yeah, I catch myself saying more nice things to myself when I have like something that I want to like pick apart.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? Nah, not today. Like,
Good for you.
so like it's not always, and then some days it's just like, oh, one thing after the next. But if I catch myself, I try to undo that.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, okay. One thing I did want to touch on that I think is pretty interesting as well, even though obviously you haven't had a very interesting life, said, is there was a time in your life when you actually didn't live here, but you also didn't live in Germany.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Spain.
What were you doing?
I was nannying. Oh, what a
Nancy the
good
nanny.
time. Yeah. That was such a fun time. I met two of my best friends there.
How did that come about? And what was that?
I was young and I was like, I don't like, I was like, I want to get out of here and experience something while I don't have anything that's like tying me down like extremely, you know. Um I wasn't dating anyone, so I was just like, let's let's do this cuz like one of my friends, she had done that too and had gone to different countries and I was just like I was so like intrigued by it. Um so yeah, I applied on this nannying site and kind of narrowed down where you want to go and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to Spain. I'm going somewhere warm. And then I met like this awesome family, and yeah, I lived there for 6 months total.
Wow.
Lived a really fun life, spending a lot of time on the beaches, meet and yeah, one of my best friends from Ireland and the other one from the Netherlands, and
That's wild.
such a fun time. Yeah.
What did you so when you were in that experience, was it multiple kids or was it just one kid that you
I
were
was just
nanny?
watching one.
And did you do that all day? Like,
No, he was in school during the day. I'd pick him up from school, and then we'd go to the pool or the beach. We'd have snack or whatever.
how old would he have been? Or that time? 3? Do you do you guys ever connect, you and the kid?
Um, not not anymore. We did in the beginning when I left. Times we'd like mess with it, but not recently.
Would you ever want to reconnect and
Yeah, yeah.
kind of see
I've thought about like um booking a flight there and then like going to visit them. I would love.
what was your favorite thing about Spain?
Oh my, there's so many things like the food, the culture. I love the language
Yeah.
of Spanish. Just like the living environment, just like having like a beach like 5 minutes from your house
Hmm.
and just like having so many things in walking distance, like a huge awesome city. Like I lived on the island of Mallorca. Palma is a big city there and it's just gorgeous and there's so many things to do and it was just yeah, it was a fun time.
That's and were you I mean this is a little bit personal too, so you don't have to say this, but were you able to my understanding of Spain is it's always very expensive. Is that first of all, is that correct? Is it expensive to live there? Oh, it's not. Okay.
Well, I mean, like I was like I got room and board, right?
Okay.
So I wasn't like paying rent or anything. It was like part of the net deal and like for enter things and like food and all that kind of stuff, like it was very
So you were able to enjoy like
yeah,
the work. That was basically what I was getting at. Is like,
yeah.
were you able to still enjoy and kind of indulge in kind of
Mm-hmm.
the things around you?
Yeah.
Were you working 7 days a week then, nannying?
No, just Monday to Friday.
And you get weekends off?
Yeah. Friday evening off too, actually.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it was fun. And like not every like they're called au pairs. Not every au pair gets like a schedule like that. Some have to do some things on the weekend, some have days. I had a really good family, a really good schedule. So yeah.
And did you know that going in that would be the schedule, or did you kind
No,
of luck out
no,
and were like,
I didn't know. I just like I knew the family I would be with.
yep.
Like we had connected FaceTime, and that was it. Booked a flight and flew out there.
Was that a good experience, like the family and stuff like that
Yeah.
as well? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy how uninteresting those parts of your life is, eh? And then leaving, was it hard to leave to come back home?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was out there for 3 months, and then I came home just so that I could my visiting visa,
Mhm.
and then go out there again. But yeah, the second time around, I was like, oh, not ready to go home. I
What was the total time you would have been doing that for?
just 6 months.
That's awesome. That's probably a really
Yeah.
good experience, eh?
I should have done it for long. Like it was so great.
Would you ever do it again, do you think? Yeah?
Good, but
Would you go to Spain again?
probably. I just love it there. It's so nice, especially like on that island there. Just because I have so many memories.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But nobody trains legs there, right?
they have massive.
Oh,
They play soccer.
yeah, but that's a lot of running.
Yeah, they have calves for
Is soccer a
days.
sport?
Oh my goodness!
I'm just joking. I'm messing with you.
This is gonna get demonetized.
Yeah, someone's gonna. This isn't good. This is late enough in the podcast that people are probably like,
not
we're not listening anymore. Yeah, you're fine. At this point we can say anything. That's really cool. That's awesome that you got to do that in Spain. Weather was good. Was there any like?
There was some. There was some rainy days. It depends. Like they have different like winter season, so it gets a little cooler. You have to wear a light jacket and whatnot. But yeah, the summer days are so nice.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
That's cool. What's next for Nancy? What are the things going on in your life, whether it's the gym, whether it's work, whether it's nannying, anything like that, anything that you find interesting about your life?
Okay.
What's next?
Well, I got engaged today.
You got engaged today?
Yeah.
Are you just announcing it on the podcast?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, so that's what's next.
I thought the big news was the bench press.
That was until today happened. Yeah.
Is that why you were late for the podcast?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm speechless right now. That's unbelievable.
I know, I felt the same way.
That's so cool. Well, we're not going to share the story on the podcast yet. We need to give it time to marinate because that's unreal. I'm going to hear it after the podcast though. That is so cool. So yeah, what's next? Tell me, you're engaged?
Yeah.
What happens after that again?
Weddings.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so prepping for a wedding, and then I don't know, we'll see.
Good for you. What about anything outside of that, life-wise? Or is that kind of going to be the main focus for the next little bit?
I think so. Oh yeah, I'm getting baptized on Sunday.
This Sunday.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's also something really exciting in my life. Yeah.
And
then I don't know, like with job, I don't know, we might move somewhere else. So that would be something that I'm very unfamiliar with because I haven't moved since I was 8 months old. So yeah, there's some things that are like up in the air. Nothing's like finalized, but yeah, we're taking it day by day kind of thing and figure it out as we go.
Can you move to Spain, please? Because then we can go visit you. That'd 100%. Be great. So if you could do that, that'd be just great so for us. Sick. That's awesome. That's really exciting. That is very exciting. And probably a little bit scary too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, I feel pretty like calm about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's kind of like you're ready.
yeah.
Good for you. That's so cool.
And eventually,
that's in the
just like,
works.
well, no, not yet, but like it's like down the
Are
road.
you sharing more news?
No,
No, I'm kidding. I'm
no.
kidding. That's so crazy for me in particular to see all the conversation we've had before this. Me in particular, as if I'm special. For me, it is special though. From where you started, from where I knew you in the gym to right now, in my head, I'm like, you're not allowed to grow up.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
still
this
your
is
kid.
crazy. Yeah. You're still like the kid who came to the
Yeah.
gym, and you weren't a kid, to be fair.
I know.
But a kid who came to the gym, and we went through this whole process and these life events and these different things.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to grow up. Like, you're just supposed to go through those things and then stay like that age forever.
Yeah. I've matured a little bit, maybe.
Hey,
Yeah.
good for you. Congrats. Don't let me hold you back. I'll still bring up old stories, but don't let me hold you back.
Yeah.
And then what about the gym? What's next in the gym?
Well, now that I'm just like in my zone again, I'm just like I'm gonna keep pushing. Maybe see if I can push my squat and deadlift PRs a little bit, and yeah, I don't know, just keep going in the gym like full throttle like I have been feeling lately. It's been a good ride.
I love how you go from being like such a girl of getting engaged and these exciting things, wanting to be a mom, and you know, all these exciting things, to saying push hard in the gym, deadlift PR, full throttle.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
No,
yeah,
that's like I want to. This is my lifestyle, you know, that like I don't think I will ever give up the gym if I don't have to. And like even when I am like one day, if you know, it's God's will and I'm pregnant one day, I want to be still squatting and deadlifting. Like, you know, I still want to be pushing those weights. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me unless I get an injury.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that's so exciting. Okay, we're gonna end it there. We're gonna end on that note. That's such a high note. Do you want? I always ask everybody, always offer everybody. You can shout out your social media accounts if you want, or anything you have going on that you want people to know about. Do you want shout out your social media account or anything, or accounts?
Well, I'm not that active anymore, but it's Nancy_Funk.
Awesome. Well, if you're okay with it, we'll tag it below too.
Yeah.
People want to go watch an unactive account. Yeah. I'm sure
maybe I'll start popping up on Instagram again.
Yeah, showing some bench PRs and future wedding photos and stuff. Well, it's been awesome. It's been awesome to corner you in this room and get to ask you questions and get to tell you things that maybe we otherwise wouldn't get to say. And not only that, but some of them even say on a podcast that everybody else can listen to too. So thanks for doing that, and thanks for sharing different stories. Thanks for being a good friend.
Yeah.
It means a lot. It really does mean a lot. Yeah. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. We're not good at the sappy stuff. We're good at the sarcastic stuff.
yeah. Just get back to the funny.
No, I'm kidding. It's all good.
Okay.
No.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of What the Pell.